What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Coinbros, your guide through the greatest industry on this little rock, spinning through the universe in the simulation that we're all here together in. And I'm glad you're here with us. And here's the news of the day. It is Thursday, I think. Yep, it is Thursday, April 16th. And there is some news. There's always news. And it seems to like pogo stick back and forth from good and bad. But this has been a good week. Bitcoin's up at like 75K. A lot of people got wrecked this week thinking that it was going to dump. We pumped about 8% on the week, which is a lot for Bitcoin. And even altcoins are doing better. I think Ethereum was at like 2,300. It was just in the, under 2,000 the week before. So it's looking pretty good, right? And a lot of it's obviously surrounded around the war and what's going to happen. I think there's 6 days left in the ceasefire talks. So we'll see what happens there. But let's talk about some of the top stories today. And what are the top stories? So the number one story, well, I wouldn't say number one, but one of the top stories is Schwab crypto goes live. So 12 trillion brokerage now sells Bitcoin direct, right? So Charles Schwab, let me read this to you. Schwab Live spot BTC and ETH in your brokerage next to your S&P 500 index fund. 12 trillion in assets are one click away from Bitcoin. The last friction point just died. Coinbase made crypto accessible. Schwab made it normal. Now, that's the difference between early adoption and mass adoption. So Charles Schwab, basically, you can spot trade Bitcoin and Ethereum. So in your portfolio, and this is $12 trillion worth of assets that they have access to. And anybody that's a part of Charles Schwab, you can now hold Bitcoin or Ethereum in your portfolio. A lot of the reason why people don't own Bitcoin is just because they don't really understand it, right? And when you have something like Charles Schwab, or maybe they're older, or maybe it's just not their thing, right? But now everybody's heard about crypto. Everyone's seen what Bitcoin's done. Now you have 12 trillion in assets where people have access to it, and they can just be like, yeah, throw 1% of my portfolio into Bitcoin. I've heard a lot of things. I'm going to take a gamble. Maybe 5%. Maybe some people start throwing 20% into crypto. When you have $12 trillion worth of brokerage assets, like, it's insane. Like 1% of that. If just 1% of that floods into crypto, it goes crazy. So it really is like the mass adoption, right? It's like now it's accessible to everybody. This is stuff that we used to talk about 10 years ago and people would look at us like we're crazy. Like there's no way that's ever going to happen. And it's all happening under our noses while everyone's paying attention to price action. Oh, the bull run just ended and everybody's kind of, it's cooled down. We're in a bear market. And like huge developments like this are happening, and it trails. It always trails and catches up, and before you know it, it's just going crazy, right? But anyway, it's live, and that's a big deal. So we'll see what happens. But it could be a big reason why crypto's actually doing okay right now, pumping. Right? It's at 75K. That's not a bad Bitcoin for a bear market. That's actually a pretty good Bitcoin. I mean, the all-time high is only like 120, 125 or something. So, definitely take a look at that. That's pretty cool. A lot of retired people that just have never gotten into the space, like now they have access to it. And it really is all about accessibility. Anyway, next, the Clarity Act roundtable today. The rule book is close to completion. So there's a thing called the Clarity Act. It is basically a SEC host, the Clarity Act roundtable. It's like a crypto regulatory framework, and it's nearly done. So they have to vote on it, right? And there's a lot of regulations and stuff that they're trying to put in place, which a lot of people, like, there's two sides to it. A lot of people think that it's kind of a way for them to backdoor get into crypto and be able to regulate and then call everything a security. And I did an entire video on it. If you want to go back and watch it, I did a whole video on the Clarity Act. And I've actually been on both sides of the fence on it. When I first heard about it, I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing step forward for crypto. But then I started thinking about it. I listened to Charles Hoskinson, who explained a lot of things, and he was talking about how if they get in here with this Clarity Act, there's a lot of little backdoor things they can do, and that's usually anytime a governments or whatever want to kind of regulate things, it hasn't always been the best thing in the world. So it's definitely something to pay a close attention to, and I did a whole video on it. I won't waste your time here with it, but if you want to go back and check it out, it's titled Clarity Act, and go check that out. But anyway, it's JP Morgan says crypto rulebook is close to completion. Clarity Act roundtable today, 72% odds of law in 2026. The stablecoin yield ban is the fight. If it passes as is, Circle and DeFi lending get hurt. If the yield ban gets removed, DeFi explodes. So today's roundtable sets the tone. Watch for stablecoin language. So there's a few things they're trying to work out, and it is true, like DeFi and things like that, it does nothing for, like, the way it stands right now. If they don't make changes, it's actually, in my opinion, not good for DeFi, and doesn't really help any of that out, right? So I'm actually leaning against it going through if it were to stay just like this. I'm a purist. I've been in the game since back in the day when ETH wasn't even around. So yeah, I mean, I kind of hope that they figure that out, because it's a big deal. If that goes through, that's the biggest kind of, like, I don't even know, I'm like losing words here, because it's like the biggest thing to be pushed through crypto ever. It'll be the biggest bill. That's the word I was thinking of. My brain's not working today. It's the biggest bill to be pushed through crypto ever. And it's a big deal. So I'm gonna keep my eye on that. All right, story number three, Goldman and BlackRock income ETFs could be BTC's volatility kill switch. So it's saying that, like, the volatility of crypto is what a lot of people have always kind of loved, right? Because it's like, that's where you get the massive gains when you have these crazy pumps and dumps. And it's kind of what a lot of people make their money on, is the volatility. Now, when things get to a certain point in size and they grow, the volatility starts slowing down, right? Those gaps start closing. And that's what's happening with Bitcoin, they're saying. With Goldman Sachs and BlackRock, they want to sell BTC options for income. It's not speculation, it's infrastructure. If these ETFs launch, every option seller becomes a volatility dampener. BTC stops spiking 10% a day, and it also stops crashing 10% a day. The trade-off, less moonshot potential, but more portfolio legitimacy. This is what BTC is becoming, what a mature asset looks like. It's boring, but boring is bullish. So it's basically saying, look, you're going to lose the volatility, but it's going to grow, right? And it's going to grow because you need these type of things to happen for the overall coin to become a massive player in the world. But with that, just like gold or anything else, any of these major assets, it's like the volatility, it's not there anymore. You don't see 10, 20% dumps and spikes anymore, unless something horrible happens, right? Like some crazy hack or something. But, so it's, in the long run, Bitcoin's growing, but you're going to, it will dampen the volatility. But with that, it could actually really be good for altcoins, right? Like, when people always want to gamble, they want to make money, they want to jump into things that have a lot of, like, upside potential. And with altcoins and things like meme coins, I mean, you can 1,000x in a day on some of those things if you get lucky, right? So people are always going to be drawn towards that. But, for something like Bitcoin, we need it to keep growing. And it's just like, there's no stopping it. This is what's happening, right? This isn't really like a debate. It's happening, and Bitcoin's going to grow, and the volatility is going to slow down, and it's just going to move in that direction. But the beauty about the crypto industry is there's so many different things you can do in this space. If you're a degen like me, you can jump around in the meme coins and NFTs. You can jump around in altcoins, and there's always gains to be made all over the place. So you just got to kind of figure out what you like in the industry, and then dive into that. But I would say, be safe, right? It's very easy to go crazy, and there's a lot of nonsense out there too. Always hold some Bitcoin, and just forget about it, lock it away, and watch it just appreciate. So that's the daily update today. I'm going to go hit the gym. Be nice to each other. Much love. I will always be back, as always, tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, until you just see me on your timeline every single second of your life. Much love, guys. Be safe.